Hello everyone, how's it going? It's Christina. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be going over all the books that I've read so far in 2021. So normally I do like monthly wrap-ups, but the last few months have been really busy for me. Between December to now, which is March 1st, I have been nonstop studying for coding and technical interviews, and that took up like a significant amount of time. So I am sorry that I haven't been able to commit to consistency in 2021 so far, but we are on that wagon now. We are moving forward, and I am going to make it a point to at least have one video per week per my schedule at this point. I may be able to do more, but we shall see how that goes. I really want to do more of the book review. That is one thing I really want to do. I don't necessarily do too many like book hauls because I don't know. I don't really like going shopping, and like sometimes like I do talk about some of the books that I pick up from the store when I get a good deal, but I more want to concentrate on the actual content of books and like how I feel about them and have discussions in the comment threads about the said books. So this year I am doing a lot of like genre theme type TBRs. So a lot of my books will be like bouncing around between different like, themes, if you will. Out of the books that I read, so I had about 6 books that I had a 5-star rating, and then I had 4 books that were a 4-star rating. Nothing was under 4-star rating. So I don't know. I feel like I picked like some really good books to read starting in 2021. I was off to a really great start in January, but I only finished 1 book in February. So, and now that we're in March, I'm hoping that I can like spend more time reading and being able to finish more than just 1 book. But the first book that I had finished in January was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Manson. I gave that one a 4-star review. I have never read any of his books, and I'm gonna be honest that I went in a little bit blind. I heard things about his books that they were really good. He is very blunt from what I learned, and I did enjoy it. I mean, I definitely liked it, but there was some theories that he was just super blunt, and I can totally see people taking offense to some of his ideals. For me, I'm open-minded. I try to like look from both sides of the camera, if you will, before really working and moving on something. But I read that like the 1st or 2nd day of January, so it's been a couple of months since I've like read the book. But I really did enjoy it. I did the audiobook for that particular one. It was available, and I wanted to incorporate some nonfiction. I definitely would recommend it if you have like an open mind to it. If you take things literally, it's probably not like a book for you. He cusses a lot, which I mean, like with that kind of a title, it is what it is. But it was definitely a good adult nonfiction book. And I'm really glad I picked it up. The second book that I read in January was Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Manson. This one, I gave it a 4-star review. I did not agree with the whole like premise around like the artificial intelligence. I was very confused like as to why like he kind of took Elon Musk's like quote out of context. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I liked the first of his book, The Subtle Art. Some of the things like he talked about again was very blunt, very to the point, and some people that I know that probably would take offense to it. So again, it was a good book. Don't get me wrong, but there were a lot of things I disagreed with him on in that particular book, and it like some hard truths, really, honestly. Like, like when you think about a book about hope, you think it's like all warm and fuzzy. This one was not a warm and fuzzy book. Like, he was very blunt and very to the point on his content. So that one I like again read like the beginning of January, so it's been a few months now since I've read it. I would just definitely caution and say, if you are okay with like a lot of cussing and a lot of like to the point and bluntness, it may be a book for you. So the next book that I read in January is The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This is the second in the Truly Devious series. I gave this a 4-star review. It wasn't my absolute favorite of the series, but I definitely liked it. I really enjoyed it. There were some things that occurred within the book that I was shocked and I did not see coming, but I really like Maureen Johnson's like suspense and like growth with Stevie. Stevie's the main character, but I really enjoyed that, like, that she grew again within the series. I'm really curious on how everything's going to, like, kind of come full circle with The Hand on the Wall, which is the third in the series, and then The Box in the Woods, that's the fourth one that's going to be in the series. So, I mean, I'm really happy that there's going to be more content because I want more of it. But yeah, it wasn't like my absolute favorite, but I definitely enjoyed it. So the next book that I'm going to talk about, I actually have the physical copy of it. It is To Sleep in the Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, I believe his last name is. He, I guess, wrote the Aragon series, which is a children's book, but this is an adult sci-fi, and I've never really read anything of Christopher Paolini, but I really loved this book. This book was so good. It was a thick one. It was definitely a thick book. I definitely had to read along with the audiobook with this one. It was beautifully done. I really enjoyed like the different like parts that he does within the book. It like just like happens in a timeline, but it's like sectioned off into parts. So it made it really more bite-sized. Like, I really did love this one. I gave this a 5-star review. I cannot wait to reread this one because there are several books that I really want to reread by the end of the year. In this one, I like really loved it. So I'm probably going to end up putting this one on my reread list for probably November or December. I don't know when I'm going to do my rereads. Let's hope that December isn't super busy like my December was this past year. But if you are a huge like space sci-fi buff, definitely this is the book for you. Totally is the book for you. I gave this next one a 5-star review. Is the Too Much and Never Enough by Dr. Mary L. Trump. It is one of my nonfiction picks. It is about Donald Trump and how her family had, through many events and many circumstances, how Trump has become who the person that he is today. And I thought she did a beautiful job with it. I know that a lot of her content within the book was from recollection and talking to family members, but I thought it was really brave of her to talk on that side of the spectrum and like really give a deep dive of what it's like to be a Trump within her family. So it really explains a lot of why he is the way he is currently today. And it really gives like a perspective, not just from like a family member, because it's, you know, his niece, not only from like a personal like family member perspective, but also from a doctor perspective. I really enjoyed that one. It was a very quick listen. I did it on audiobook through the Libby app, and I definitely recommend checking it out. I know everyone is really sick and tired of hearing about Trump this, Trump that, but I honestly, got a totally different perspective of why he is the way he is within her books. And that's why I gave it a 5-star. And it's still fresh in my mind, even going into March. I mean, that book was amazing. And I gave this next one a 4-star review, is Slay by Brittney Morris. I really loved this book because it had the video game element in it. I was very thrown off by the climax and the ending of this book, and I was like, oh my god, I want more of this. So I'm hoping that Brittney Morris, if you're listening to this, please do another book because I really liked it. I loved it. The only reason why I gave it a 4-star is because it really was slow to begin with, and there was like a lot of detail that I felt like wasn't really necessary, but I can kind of see why she had done what she did with the detailing. But I really loved the main character, in love with books that talk about video games and development and women in tech, and I felt like this was a book that many girls that are interested in this can really relate to, and like I just really enjoyed it. I don't know about Ready Player 2 yet, but I can definitely say that I would definitely reread this book. So 4-star, if you're into video games and women in tech type stories, I definitely recommend checking out Slay. Next book was a historical fiction. I think it's a historical fiction. It might just be a fiction. But it's Circe by Madeline Miller. I definitely gave this one a 5-star review. I really enjoyed the overall essence of that book. It was very well done. I could not put that book down. It was very delightful. I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people were ranting and raving about it, and I finally had the ability of picking it up through the Libby app again. I thrive on the Libby app, so I'm just gonna keep saying like Libby app every 5 seconds. If I don't physically have a copy of it, I more than likely got it on the Libby app. So just give a FYI if you're new here. But yeah, I gave that one a 5-star review. But if you're into mythology, that is definitely the book to check out. So, alright, so moving along. But the next book that I had finished in January is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I was really annoyed a bit with Hermione in this book, especially with the whole reference with spew and everything. I am so glad they cut that out of the book, like the movies, because like there was just so much heavy like mentions of spew in this. And if you have never read this book, or if you have read this book, then you definitely know what I'm talking about. But I, of course, gave it a 5-star review because I love this series. I had read halfway through this book before I put it down before. So the other half, I was really shocked on some of the things that did happen. I really enjoyed the Triwizard Tournament. I really loved the character building with Harry and Ron. I really enjoy Ron's character. I think when I watched the movie series, I really was loving Harry's character more, but in the books, Ron is so much better. I don't know why, like, in the movie series, like, I'm not feeling as much angstiness from Ron, but this was definitely the favorite so far in this series. I know I've said that, you know, the first one and the third one were my absolute favorites, but I'd have to say the Goblet of Fire is like now on my like top 5 of loving the series. So, but yeah, this one was a 5-star. Definitely recommend like rereading through the series now that you're, you know, if you're an adult. I know when I first read the series, I was like a teenager, so I only got up to halfway through this book, and then I just never picked up the books. I got the books, but I was weird, and I just like saw the movies. I never actually physically read the books. So this has just been a nice treat and a nice like experience for myself as an adult reader now. I am looking forward to the Order of the Phoenix. Like, whoa. Trust me, I'm ready. I love that movie. So I can't wait to see like what detail they left out from the movie in the book. The final book that I read in January is another 5-star review that I absolutely love, and it is the Starless C by Erin Morgenstern. I tried reading this book back in October of last year. I could not get into it because it just jumped around so much and it was so confusing. There is so much beautiful symbolism in this book. It is not even funny. I love this book. This book was so good, and I need to pick up The Night Circus, because if it's anything like the treat that I got from this book, I'm definitely going to like The Night Circus. This was the first book that I've ever picked up of her, and I'm really glad I did, because she is amazing at storytelling. She is amazing at world building. She is amazing at character development. I absolutely, positively love this book. Ended up following along with it on audiobook while reading the book, and I cannot say nothing but great things about this book. So yeah. 5-star, ended up finishing it the end of January, which then led into the final book of this whole genre of reading between January and February. I only finished The Midnight Library by Haig in February, and I'm really, really, really happy that my book club selected this, because this book has just been a staple on me since finishing this. And someone like me who has suffered through horrible, horrible points of their depression and anxiety and mental health, this was like an anthem book, if you will, for people like me. And I could relate on so many different levels with Nora, who's the main character in this book. And I was triggered by so many of the beginning chapters, but I powered through it, and I absolutely love this book. I am so glad I got a physical copy of this. I probably won't reread it for a little while, but I really enjoyed this, and I actually read it along with the audiobook on Audible. I definitely recommend doing that, because it gives you a totally different experience with the narrator. The narrator is amazing for this audiobook. She did a beautiful job, and just how she acted out the characters, especially with Nora, it just hit all the feels, and it really was a great book. When I went into this book, I thought, well, everyone's just hyping it up because of the Goodreads awards and everything, and I went in thinking that I'm probably gonna like it, but it's gonna be like that stereotypical like mental health type book and message, like, oh, life is hard, but, you know, everyone gets through it. No, this really puts you into, like, their shoes and that perspective, and it really hits home with how, like, if you struggle with mental health, I'm just giving you forewarning, there is trigger warnings of depression, suicide, and overdose, so just kind of keep that in mind. But if you could power through that and really get to the actual like meat and potatoes of this book, you're gonna be glad that you read this book. It was just so relatable, like, and it was just so good, and it was just so beautifully done, and it was a beautiful story, and sad, and just it was just really good. I cannot say anything more about it, but yeah, that's it. That's all I've had for reading so far in 2021. March is definitely going to be a good month to like pick it back up. And I don't think I've mentioned yet, but I did make a goal for all of 2021 to read 150 books. And I feel like right now I'm behind, but I feel like I can easily catch myself up. Now that I've gotten back into a groove of everything, I feel like I will still be able to hit that goal. But if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video today, please leave in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you thought about the book. If you haven't read any of these books, I will leave a link in the description below. just so that you can reference the books as well. But I mean, until next time, guys, I'm really happy that you're here. If you are new here, welcome, and I am so happy to have you part of this community. And give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and until next time, guys, take care. Bye.